I am so happy. I cannot tell you how happy I am. I am so happy. I got a tear in my eye. It means the world.
It got closer, I think, because Morris brings a toughness that they didn't have. A guy who can score the basketball, who's having a great year with the Knicks and come in now.
44% from three.
Yeah, so a guy that can actually, extend the floor, and they can play small now, which is more important. And then he can get through the season. And we know Kawhi's not playing. You just talked about that real quick, not playing. So now they can rest him even more if they have to, rest Paul George. They'll be in the playoffs fresh. So they've closed the gap. But the difference is, in this series, if people really look at it, to me, LeBron's having unbelievable years, playing terrific. I love the assist. But against the Clippers, he needs to be the old LeBron, get 30, 35. You know what we saw against Golden State when he gets 35, 40 points? To beat the Clippers in the 7-game series, he can't be the passive LeBron, hoping everybody else makes shots and play the game with the triple-doubles. No, you got to go get it. And I think if LeBron puts that mindset, they're still even.
And so it's very interesting. So you said the Clippers closed the gap a bit. I think that the Lakers are the team. When the question is posed, how wide's the gap? On a lot of shows, people will talk about the gap between the Clippers and Lakers, but it's flipped.
As the Clippers.
Despite the fact the Lakers have had the better record all year, they have the best player of the two teams. They have the best second option of the two teams. They have an easier path to the NBA Finals because they're the 1 seed. They're right now positioned to have home court. Despite all that, people have been trying to speak into existence LeVar Ball style. No, the Clippers just must actually be better than what we've seen up to this point. And it's very interesting if you're on NBA Twitter, the reaction Saturday night. The Lakers got more criticism on Saturday for a narrow win over Golden State than the Clippers did for getting blown out by a team that hadn't won in a month in Minnesota. And by the way, that was a game Kawhi was playing. That wasn't his weekly rest game. He actually played, and they got beat by what? What'd they lose by? 30 in that game? I'm sorry, 27 points. Let me give them full credit. Listen, the Clippers are a very good team, but they did not address their biggest issue at the deadline. Their biggest issue is the lack of a rim protector. The Lakers didn't address their biggest issue at the deadline, which is another ball handler aside from LeBron. The distinction is this. In the playoffs, the Lakers can just say, LeBron, you got to play 42 to 44 minutes. And he has shown the ability to do that. The Clippers can't say, Montrez, we need you to grow 3 inches. They can't say, Zubac, we all of a sudden need you to be a legitimate rim protector. So I don't think the Clippers can solve their biggest issue. The Lakers can solve it simply by saying, hey, LeBron, greatest player ever, we need you, and even in year 17, to be that. And he has shown the ability to do that.
Just only against the Clippers. I mean, every team, different teams he can play differently. But against the Clippers, he has to impose his will. He has to go to the block. He has to post up. He has to be aggressive on the offensive end. He can't be the point guard, LeBron, against the Clippers if they want to win. They need him to be up there. And obviously, I disagree with you a little bit as far as ball handling. I just think LeBron James hasn't given the Rondos, the Avery Bradleys, those guys an opportunity to really handle the basketball. He's been real dominant, even more so, I think, this year than before in the past, where his ball handling, where he's given a little to Kyrie and allowed Kyrie to make plays. He hasn't did that a lot this year with these guys, whether or not he doesn't trust them or he's just in that mode right now where he feels like he's trying to do something that he hasn't done in his career, and that's lead the league in assists.
What does it say about the Clippers that despite whatever they've been going through, there was some discontent earlier on, there were injuries they had to deal with, no real chemistry because Paul George started late and Kawhi doesn't play that much, all of that. They're still kind of right there on the Lakers' heels.
Yeah,
Does that
really,
surprise
really
you?
good. No, because they've got 2 of the 12 best players in basketball. They've got a good, maybe it's a touch overrated, but a good coach. Lou Williams is extraordinary at his job. You have guys that know their roles. Listen, just because I don't think the Clippers are the best team in basketball, just because I want to trust the evidence we have of the 53 games, 52 games, depending on how many you've played, doesn't mean I don't think they're a good team. But I do think they are judged by a different standard than the team in the same city in the Lakers. When the Lakers lose, we talk about it as if, okay, what is wrong with them? When the Clippers lose, even that loss to Minnesota is horrifying. They lost to Minnesota. You cannot, I understand Minnesota hit 25, 26 threes. That was, but everyone told me, the Clippers are going to be a dominant defensive team. You just let Minnesota score a $142. D'Angelo wasn't even playing yet. And we just, again, okay, who cares? We'll see him in the postseason. We'll see him in the postseason. I just don't buy it.
The Clippers got a couple problems. One, I've been playing this game, and Nick, you got to get some rhythm. And Kawhi Leonard, to me, is killing himself not getting any rhythm. Playing one game, sitting out two, playing one game. I don't care who you are. Look at LeBron James, 17 games in. He plays every game because he's trying to get a rhythm, get himself in the best possible shape, condition to make a deep run in the playoffs. You got to play basketball. Can't play 65 games, 60 games, and think you're going to be able just to turn it on come playoff time. It's not going to happen like that. Morris gives them some depth now if they want to do that. And the reason why the Clippers winning, they don't talk about it. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell having career years. I mean, Lou Williams has been consistent throughout his career, but they're playing great basketball. Pat Beverly's been consistent when he's on the floor. So they're getting great play from other players. But the two main guys, they've been good, but they haven't been great. They're not up for MVP. You know, they're not like, killing the league. So they got to improve as far as getting Kawhi on court, getting him into a rhythm where he's playing basketball more. Stop the load management if you want to win a title, because anything can happen.
They're not going to stop the load management. And the Clippers right now would be potentially facing Houston in round 1, facing Denver in round 2 on the road, and then if you get through them, facing the Lakers in round 3. And I understand there's no travel for that series, but if the Lakers-Clippers play each other, those are 7 home games for the Lakers. Laker fans are going to buy out that building, which is another issue the Clippers, now there's nothing to do about that, another issue the Clippers are going to have to deal with. I feel like there is this, it's so odd what's happened. Kawhi, because of his sensational playoff run last year, which, by the way, he trailed off in games 5 and 6 against the depleted Golden State Warriors, but he was sensational in round 2 against the Sixers. He was excellent in round 3 against the Bucks, and he was great in games 2, 3, and 4 against Golden State when Toronto took control of that series. But we give him more of a benefit of the doubt for what he's going to do in the postseason than LeBron James, who the last time we saw him in the postseason, after playing all 82 games, hit 2 game winners, had 2 dominant game 7s, and averaged 34, 9, and 9. In a playoff series, who do you trust more? The greatest player we've ever seen, or second greatest player we've ever seen, or Kawhi? To me, that's not a question.
No,
it's not a question.
It's LeBron James right now. You still got to trust him. And everybody had a tough last couple of weeks, and we're trying to put a grade and say, oh, the Lakers are back to the pack. They're still playing great basketball. Obviously, LeBron, I think when it comes to the Clippers, I said again, he just has to change his mentality and become the LeBron James that we saw in the finals against Golden State. And, he has to be that aggressive.
And they have to be able to close. In the 2 games they played against the Clippers, they've been tied going in the fourth quarter both times. They've lost both games. They got to close better against those teams. I also wonder if people, have you seen, Twan, what the Raptors are doing? They're 39 and 14. I think they've won, 14 in a row?
14 in a row.
Seemed like it's a pretty good team still in Toronto there.
I guess we know your answer. Preseason, I picked the Lakers like a lot of people, like I think you guys. But
not me.
Watching the eye test, just watching the teams, and then their stats to back it up, the Clippers are better. And I said in the preseason, even as I picked the Lakers, I thought the Clippers should be the favorite, and on paper were the better team. And they've made that paper come to life. They look great, and here's several reasons I think they're better. One, now, while it's true the Lakers have 2 of the 3 best players in L.A., LeBron, Kawhi, and AD, and I would say in that order, okay? However, the Clippers are a better team. The Clippers have 2 other basically 20-point scores. Paul George is over 20. Kawhi is obviously over 20. And then Lou Williams is averaging 19, and Montrezl Harrell's averaging 19. They're a team, and the Lakers are too LeBron-centric. It's not his fault. It's his greatness. But he's making plays for everybody. He's got to create for everybody, and that's hard to beat a great team when you're creating for everybody, even as you have another great player like AD. Look at LeBron's career. The teams that have been his nemesis are teams, talented teams. San Antonio, even though they were old, in 2014 ran through Miami, played really team basketball and had talent. Golden State that beat him all those years. A lot of talent and played team basketball. The Clippers are doing the same thing. When you watch them, you see, they got 2 stars, but the ball finds everybody. Everybody gets their shot. Pat Beverly might hit a big shot. Landry Shamet might hit a big shot. The ball is moving. Now, against top teams, it's to Rob's point. The top 4 teams in each conference, the Clippers are 8 and 5. The Lakers are 5 and 6. So they've been pounding on the weaker teams, but have had trouble against the better teams in the league. And, of course, the Clippers are 2-0 against the Lakers head up. And the Clippers, they're only 3 behind the Lakers, 3 games, and they haven't even been healthy. They're 17-5 when Kawhi and Paul George play together. So if you just watch them, look, their perimeter defense is staunch. Only thing you can say about them is they don't have rim protection. But their perimeter defense is so good that you're going to have trouble getting to the rim. So I just think the Clippers, and they got more closers. They got Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams. Marcus Morris can hit a big shot. The Lakers, and LeBron, we know he can close games, but he tends to either take a 3 or go all the way to the hoop. And when you watch him against the Clippers in the first 2 games, I thought he was tentative initially watching the 2 games, and I was like, what is going on? But maybe it's that he's had trouble getting by the perimeter defense to get to the rim at 35 years old. So, look, I don't write off the Lakers. I give them a shot. I think here's what I think has to happen for the Lakers to win it. 1, LeBron's got to be heroic and lift them over a better team. He did it in 2016 against Golden State. 2, Anthony Davis needs to dominate the fourth quarter. And to do that, they need to change the way they're playing. Because right now, they're not even giving Anthony Davis the chance to dominate the fourth quarters. He's got to dominate Marcus Morris or Kawhi or Paul George or Harrell, whoever they put on him, Zubac. In the fourth quarter, they got to change the way they play. Because Anthony Davis, you're going to be shocked when you hear this number. He's averaging 5.5 minutes a game in the fourth quarter. He's playing less than half of the fourth quarter. He's averaging 2.9 points in the fourth quarter. He's averaging 2.9 shots in the fourth quarter. What are they doing?
Undisputed. Do not forget to join the official Undisputed fan group on Facebook.
I think in trouble is far too strong. I do think this is a legitimate blow. And I want to say this on the top. I don't blame Collison, obviously, for deciding, hey, I thought I wanted to be retired. I want to stay retired. It's his prerogative. He seems to be very passionate about his work as a Jehovah's Witness, and God bless him for it. And I also don't blame Rob Pelinka for not being super active at the deadline. I wouldn't have given up Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma for Marcus Morris, and some would argue, well, he should have worked around the edges a little bit more. I have no idea what it's like to be Rob Pelinka right now. Kobe Bryant was his best friend. He is very close with the family, and dealing with all of that in the context of we have a trade deadline coming up. If there's ever someone that deserves a bit of a pass, it would be Pelinka in these couple weeks. With all that said, the Lakers need another ball handler. Darren Collison, for me, Howard, this offseason, before I knew he was going to retire, was one of the top free agent targets. Once they missed out on Kawhi, when we were listing people, I said Danny Green, Seth Curry, Darren Collison were the types I'd go after. Seth goes to Dallas. Danny retires. Or I'm sorry, you have Collison retire and they get Danny Green. If they could have gotten Darren Collison, it would have been great. They don't. And now when you're to the Waiters portion of the buyouts, that's not a great option for anyone. There's a reason Dion Waiters only played 3 games for Miami this year, and there's a reason that despite his talent, he's bounced around the league. I still think this team can win the title. They'd still be my pick to win the title, but it is going to be all on the shoulders of LeBron James come the playoffs because they have no one else they trust handling the ball or initiating the offense. Well, I think the 1 seed matters. I'm the only person in the world anymore that cares at all about the regular season, that thinks the Clippers, getting blown out by 30-some points to a terrible Timberwolves team, that we actually should pay attention to those things. But LeBron, for them to keep the 1 seed, LeBron's going to have to play 37, 38 minutes a night down the stretch. Him feeling a little worn out near the All-Star break, man, you can set your watch to it. LeBron James teams, and LeBron in particular, the weeks leading up to the All-Star break is when people start abandoning ship. It's when the team seems to be at its low point. I don't think they're at their low point right now, but I think you'll see a better version of the Lakers here in a couple weeks than you're seeing right now. I would have rather them get Collison than Marcus Morris. I would have he's the exact type of guy that can knock down shots, that can run an offense, that can defend a little bit, the exact thing they need. But to Howard's point about it all falling on LeBron, I think the minutes thing's important. He's going to play 42 minutes a game in the playoffs. Like, that's what he averaged his last playoff run. And keep in mind, there are some blowouts in there going in each direction where he plays low minutes. So in close games, he's going to play at least 42, if not 44 minutes. The question is, can you survive those 5 to 7 minutes a night where he's on the bench, which in the past LeBron teams have struggled surviving. This year, and the reason why I'm as high on the Lakers as anyone over the Clippers is because when LeBron's on the court, they're the best team in basketball. They have the best numbers. We're the best team in the West. Milwaukee might be in a stratosphere by themselves at the moment, but they are clearly better to me than the Clippers when LeBron's on the court. The problem has not only been when LeBron goes to the bench, but it's been that Rondo is soaking up those minutes. And Rondo right now is a detriment to winning. The other benefit to Collison would have been he would take those Rondo minutes away.
Hopefully.
You would hope he would take those Rondo minutes away. I don't know if Frank Vogel has the stomach to do something that Luke Walton didn't have the stomach to do, which is say, Rajon, man, it's 2020. You might be a Hall of Famer one day, but that's based on what you did in the past. Those minutes should be going to Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is not a great player, he's not a perfect player, but we now have 2 seasons of data that with the Lakers, he's a more effective player than Rondo. That's my concern, is that when LeBron goes to the bench, even if it's just into the first, into the third, does a 7-point lead turn into a 1-point lead because the Lakers crater with Rondo running the offense? They're doing it the right way and the smart way, which is you're taking the regular season seriously, not so seriously that if a guy's got an injury, you don't give him the night off, you make him play through it, but to where you can get the rest when it's most valuable, when it's closest to the postseason, and you might also get a little extra rest within the postseason because you're the 1 seed, you sweep out the 8 seed, and you get a week off while these other teams are battling amongst each other. Your point on Kuzma is an important one, and I want to address that in a moment, but first, I want to remind the audience what a massive departure this is from things we've heard from LeBron in the past. LeBron famously, 1 year in Cleveland, said publicly, we need a bleeping playmaker right before the deadline, meaning we need another ball handler. If you remember, after the Kyrie trade and then during the season, they remade that entire team, bringing in Jordan Clarkson, George Hill, all those guys. After the first game with that new team, right in February, he came off the court screaming, we got a bleeping squad now. We finally have a bleeping squad. Meaning, and he had made it very clear he thought the team needed to tweak things. He's right that this is, for the first time really, you could argue since the 2nd or 3rd year in Miami, they have a fully formed championship-level roster as is. In the playoffs, you're going to go 8 deep. LeBron, Danny Green, KCP, Anthony Davis, center of your choosing, Dwight or JaVale. Pick one of them. With a bench of Caruso, Kuzma, Bradley. There's your 8. That is assuming they are smart and they remove Rondo from the rotation, and that's without even Andre Iguodala coming over in the buyout market, which I think likely will happen, and then he'll be a 9th guy in your rotation. The question is Kuzma. Is he going to, A, mature? Because that's a real thing. Kyle Kuzma, you can't have your trainer out here saying the best player in the world doesn't work hard enough at his game, and then you seemingly co-sign it on Twitter. Like, if you want to be a goofball when it comes to your hair, fine. But when it comes to real professional adult basketball, you need to grow up a bit. You also need to grow up a bit on the court. Too often this year, the Lakers are in a 2-on-1 break, but Kuzma hasn't gotten his touches. So instead of making the right basketball play, he goes himself, and it doesn't work out well. That irritates veteran teams. That irritates teams that understand we have a bigger goal in mind. In Kuzma's defense, he's the one guy on the team that hadn't been paid. Other than Caruso, of course, but it's tough to ask a guy who's trying to prove himself in this league, trying to get a next contract, to be selfless. That's why championship teams very often don't rely on young players. If they are going to make a trade, it will be Kuzma. He's the only tradable asset they have. Could they use another shooter? Sure, the whole league could. Could they use maybe a ball handler to replace Rondo? Absolutely. But if they make no moves, they're the best team in the Western Conference, and the only team I believe that can throw a scare into them is the Milwaukee Bucks, who might be the best team we've seen in this league since the Warriors, well, other than the Warriors in a very long time. And so I think LeBron's right that they don't need to make a move. I also think the next couple weeks are critical for Kyle Kuzma in which direction he wants to go. You want to be a featured guy on a bad team and get a bunch of buckets? Or do you want to be a part of potentially winning a championship in year 3, which will lead to the financial rewards he wants so badly?
We are headed to Miami Monday, January 27th. First things first, actually, all the FS1 shows will be live at Loomis Park on South Beach as we get ready for Super Bowl 54. It's going to be a good time. If you're in the area, come watch the show live in person. So audience check-in starts at 6 a.m. We're going to have some great guests. We're going to have a ton of giveaways. We got a lot to talk about. Stick around, talk to us, hang out with us. We'll be around afterwards. FS1 live from Miami.
If the Clippers are fortunate enough to actually get to the conference finals and have to get through the Lakers, who's our rim protector again? Who is the guy that is not only going to match up with Anthony Davis, but is going to stop LeBron James at the rim? Because there's not a perimeter defender in NBA history that we have seen actually stop LeBron in a playoff series. We have seen rim protectors, even not great ones such as Roy Hibbert, give him some trouble. The Clippers ain't got it. Clippers have two sensational two-way players, Kawhi and Paul George, and then a bunch of designated hitters. The Lakers, meanwhile, have an 8-man rotation that, especially if they get Rondo out of it, that they are comfortable going to war with. And if they add, listen, could they use one extra ball handler? Sure. One extra shooter? Who couldn't? But the Clippers, if they don't make a move for a rim protector, they have a hard ceiling of the Western Conference Finals, and it might be a tick below that. Who could have seen this coming? I mean, who in the world could have seen that you had a Clippers team that was totally together, that took the Warriors, the healthy Warriors, by the way, before any of the injuries got them, to 6 games, and were building something, and then remade the entire team in an offseason, that if things didn't go as swimmingly well as most people predicted, there could be a little angst about it, particularly when you have your superstars, who always play by a slightly different set of rules, playing by a totally different set of rules than the rest of the team. And I don't think they're so much upset that Paul George, he had double shoulder surgery, then hurt his hamstring. Like that is how it works in the league if you're dealing with an injury in any league. I think there's probably some players a little, and could Kawhi have played, a back-to-back, 2 back-to-backs? But what they're really upset with is this team is not as good as everyone said they were going to be. They're outside of the top 5 on offense. They're outside of the top 5 on defense. And I'm old enough to remember this Clippers team was going to be the best defense in basketball by a mile. They're on pace for 56 wins, which is good, but it ain't great. They are looking up in the standings, and have been all year, to the actual best team out west, the Los Angeles Lakers. And they've got the same number of losses as the Raptors, Celtics, and Nuggets. They have more losses than the Jazz and the Heat. That was not the plan here. So it's one thing we're going to load manage like Toronto did with Kawhi, right? They were 17-5 in the 22 games Kawhi missed last year, so it did not hurt them. They actually had a tick better winning percentage in the regular season in the games he sat than the games he played. That has not been the case for the Clippers. And so I don't blame if some of the players have some of the concerns I do, which is, yeah, this is all about winning a championship, but what if this process makes it harder for us to win a championship because we have a brutal round 1 matchup and we're on the road in round 2 of the postseason? I think that's where some of this is coming from, Canty.
Well, you're probably right, but here's the thing. I mean, all is not lost. You brought up in the offensive and defensive metrics. We knew it was going to take some time for this Clippers team to come around and to find their footing, just because Kawhi was going to be in and out of the lineup with load management, and Paul George is coming off of offseason surgery. So, I mean, the core for the Toronto Raptors had been together for years
1,000%.
before they introduced Kawhi Leonard, so you could understand why they'd be able to function a little bit better without him. They shipped off a lot of pieces from that Clippers team when they made the deal to bring over Paul George. So, I mean, there are some moving parts with this, and guys are getting adjusted to playing with one another. But I do think they're positioning themselves the best that they can in order to compete for a championship, because they recognize what Kawhi Leonard was able to do down the stretch of the regular season, but more importantly in the postseason, knowing that you were managing the amount of minutes and the amount of game played in the regular season. So I think this is Doc Rivers taking a big picture view of this thing. The role players from the Clippers, they just got to understand what this is. I mean, star players have always gotten preferential treatments in sports, not just basketball, but in sports in general. I remember Jimmy Johnson, the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, said, "I'll treat all the players fairly. I'm not going to treat everybody the same." I mean, as a defensive tackle, I knew that there were different rules for me in comparison to the quarterbacks that I played with. Why? Because a quarterback is more important to the team's success than the defensive tackle is. The same way that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are more important to the Clippers' success than any of those other role players. So I understand where those other guys from the Clippers are coming from, but they also, I got to understand, there's a bigger picture to this thing. And if you trust Doc Rivers and you trust the people in the Clippers front office, then you got to trust how they handle this situation with Kawhi and PG-13.
Is this fixable? Because he's going to continue to be load managed, so that's not going to change. So this is the way it's going to be.
The solution for the Clippers is what they have cornered themselves in this place where it is, you can say it's always championship or bust, but anything short of a title, and this whole year is an abject failure for them because they have said, without saying it, but through their actions, we don't care about the regular season. It is all focused on the fact we think this puts us in the best position to win a championship. So if you're a Clippers fan and you're being told the first 82 games don't matter because it's the last 20 to 25 that all that we care about, if instead of getting to 20 to 25 games in the postseason in a ring, you get 12 and a second-round exit, then it is worse than the typical disappointing second-round exit. We got nothing out of this. And by the way, after this year, Kawhi and Paul George got one more year left on each of their contracts guaranteed. Then they can do whatever they want. And you mentioned Doc Rivers. And one other point on Doc, and I know everybody likes Doc, and he used to be in the media, and he seems like a really good guy, all these things. It should be noted, Doc Rivers has coached some really good teams. Since 2010, he's been in the conference finals once. He's coached 11 playoff series in his career without Kevin Garnett on his team. They're 2-9, his teams, in those 11 playoff series. So is Doc going to Ubuntu his way to fixing this like he did with the Celtics? I don't know. And I know that superstars get preferential treatment. I do think there are players on the Clippers saying, why are our superstars treated not so much differently than us, but so much differently than Giannis, than James Harden, than LeBron James, than Anthony Davis? It's not that the Clippers are treating their superstars like all superstars get treated. They're treating their superstar, because it's not Paul George. He has a surgery and then an injury. Kawhi Leonard is in a box by himself this NBA season, and the only way to unwrap it and come out of it a winner is to win the whole damn thing. I wish him luck. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, and I think it's going to recalibrate the whole league's approach to load management. When the two teams who have taken the regular season seriously, the Bucks and the Lakers, end up with coasts in the first round, the Bucks maybe the whole Eastern Conference playoffs, and they end up being rested for the NBA Finals when they meet each other, and these other teams are like, oh, maybe the regular season does matter a little bit more than we were led to believe.
I wouldn't say either team needs that piece, and while I do believe that Marcus Morris will go to one of those two teams, I don't know that he tilts the balance one way or the other. The Clippers, if you're looking at their weaknesses, they need somebody in that front court. They need rebounding help, and Marcus Morris really isn't that guy. The Lakers, they could use more shooting, maybe help with the point guard position. Marcus Morris really isn't that guy. But Morris, if you're the Clippers, you can't let Marcus Morris get away. You have got a contract to deal in Mo Harkless.
And Mo Harkless is not playing well.
Not playing. Not a factor. You can trade your first-round pick this year, and after that, you can't trade it till, like, we colonize Mars. Like, it's going to be forever until you can trade a first-round draft because of other deals that they've made. You've got to go out and use that capital to get Marcus Morris because he can play the 3 and the 4. He is a 40+% three-point shooter. He is a guy that helps you, and you can't let that guy go across the hall to the LA Clippers. So while I think there are other shoes to drop, you've got buyout market for a big man for the Clippers. I think Darren Collison's a guy to watch in LA with the Lakers. I think Morris is the guy that, to answer that question, is the guy that the Clippers can't let get away.
The follow-up I was going to have, though, is this. I understand the blocking move of we don't necessarily need Marcus Morris if we're the Clippers, but we don't want the Lakers to get him. Here, the reason my answer is who needs to add a piece more, it's very obvious. To me, it's the Clippers, but the piece is not Marcus Morris. The Clippers need a rim protector. You cannot beat in consecutive series the Lakers and the Bucks with Montrezl Harrell as your starting center. You just can't. Now maybe he'll be the starting center, but without someone,
with Zubac, you might be able to beat him. Like Zubac is an excellent perimeter defender. Like,
absolutely. For his size, he's a good perimeter defender.
Pick and roll defense is there.
You need a rim protector to stop Giannis and LeBron flatly. The reason I don't think the Lakers have a desperate need. Listen, would they like to add shooting? Yes. Every team in the league doesn't have enough shooting, right? Everyone would like to add shooting. And I think Collison would be a great fit for them. He was a guy I wanted them to go after this summer before Collison shockingly retired and seemingly left maybe a $30 million
$50 million probably.
Yeah.
The Ricky Rubio number was probably
a 3-year, $48 million contract, something like that on the table. I can't believe he did it to this day. But what the Lakers what their actual need is ball handling. Another playmaker. I mean, come the playoffs, LeBron going to be playing 42 minutes a game. He's going to handle that for you. And this idea of, well, what if LeBron can't? Well, if LeBron can't, you're screwed. The Lakers' plan is very, very simple. Trust the greatest player ever to continue to play at that level. Anything less than that, they will lose, right? So I don't look at the Lakers having a massive need. I look at the Clippers and I say right now, there's 5 guys on their roster, Mannix, I really trust. None of them are rim protectors, and a few of them are designated hitters. Like Lou Williams is a one-way player. Patrick Beverley, even though he's shooting better this year, is a one-way player. And Trez is a one-way player. They need a big. And by big, I don't mean a post player. I mean I don't mean a 4. I mean a 5. And that's the part for me that I don't understand. I don't understand why they couldn't have gotten Capella because the Rockets weren't going to trade him in conference.
The guy that you're talking about that they should, I don't think he's available, but is Aaron Baines.
Sure,
Aaron Baines in Phoenix would be an ideal fit in that situation. He is a screen setter. He is a rim protector. He is a rebounder. He plays great on-ball defense.
Sweaty, smells bad, the whole nine. Everything you want from a big.
The sense I get is that Phoenix wants to re-sign him next summer. That's why he's not available. But if you can extract Aaron Baines, that would be the guy. Right now, I think they're looking at Marcus Morris, but Aaron Baines is exactly who you're talking about.
And that's the need for them. I know people think I'm too far down on the Clippers. They have a hole on their roster.
So for the Lakers, it's a want. For the Clippers, it's a need.
Perfect, Jenna. Exactly right. And for the Lakers, I also don't know for Marcus Morris. The part of the addition for the Lakers is it removes Kuzma. Listen, you and I have talked about this on your great podcast and one of your many media platforms. Kuzma needs to grow the hell up immediately. Kuzma, it's tough. Guys who haven't been paid, it's tough. Guys who haven't been in these winning situations, it's tough. People say LeBron wants to play with older guys. LeBron wants to play with guys who are more worried about what's right for the team than for themselves. But that is incredibly difficult if you haven't been paid yet. And Kuzma, whether it's his trainer popping off online or him continually blowing 3-on-1 fast breaks because he's the one who wants the layup instead of making the right pass, that is not a winning formula. And so one day he might be ready for this. Right now, he's not exhibited that. So if you ship him out and bring in a true pro in Marcus Morris and a legitimate tough guy, I do think that helps the Lakers in a substantial way.